Hello and welcome to the Josh and Tyler Show, the Tyler and Josh Show. We're back with our regular host after he took a week off to go to Jamaica and, paint the town green, blue, red, purple, and vibe in colors
Hey,
because
you're supposed to keep that a secret. You're supposed to keep that a secret. Nobody knows I'm back.
Anyway, Tyler, how you doing? I don't know. That was a weird intro.
Thank you for at least letting me go off on that one. I'm
please.
pretty good. I, as some of you may have known from last week's video, I had to take this week off mostly because I didn't let Josh know I was going back to work until the very last minute. That was a huge mistake on my part. But if that means featuring another one of your friends in some of our videos, what have I got to complain about?
Every video, so they probably don't need any more screen time.
Other than the fact that you cheated and played movie Jenga without me.
Well, I will play movie Jenga again with you.
Yeah, no shit, you're gonna play it again.
Yeah, but you weren't around, and I needed something fun and quick.
Yeah, well, seriously, you let her into your apartment and you didn't even call me. What? My God,
we discussed this.
No, we didn't actually. I don't remember hearing anything
busy. It's my producer for my film that we're coming up, so. You're welcome. You're welcome. You just have to let me know. That's how this goes.
Okay.
Anyway, we did promote your DuckTales video last week, though. Put it in the link.
I did
there.
See that. And
if you guys have not seen his fantastic documentary talking about DuckTales, one of his favorite things on the planet, the poster behind him talking about more DuckTales there. The man of cartoons, the man of Ghibli. Check it out. It's fascinating. It's a good little deep dive into the final season of DuckTales. Today, we have a fun topic. And this is chosen by you, and I love this topic. Tyler, what's our topic for today? I'm excited.
So I texted you with the option of either top 6 best trailers to kind of bookend the worst trailers video that we had discussed earlier. And one that I had been thinking about discussing for months, never really coming up with more than 2 selections. Top 6 worst miscasting in movies from our own personal opinion, which was a tough one for me because I don't like to say the person was inherently wrong for the part in a movie because there are so many factors ranging from direction, writing, editing. There's only a few key roles that have pissed me off just because I had key envision for certain actors for those parts, or I just felt like if the movie is competently made, there are some actors who, as good as they are, they can't do everything.
100%. Yes, and my honorable mentions, I have a few that I just rub me the wrong way. What's your let's just get into these honorable mentions. Do you have any, Tyler?
I have 3 dishonorable mentions, which
7.
Some of them I had to revisit, Watch Mojo or certain reviewing sites of their worst miscasting choices, and some of them were so obvious that it's not worth pointing out. Mickey Rooney from Breakfast at Tiffany's or John Wayne as Genghis Khan. They're not on my list because it's too fucking obvious of a choice. You can sum those up in one sentence.
Well, Genghis Khan, John Wayne is one of my honorable mentions because I have seen the movie, and I think if John Wayne actually cared or tried, it could be a film that, he did the wrong race for, but, he tried. He doesn't try. He's there for the paycheck. He's phoning it in. So it's more of a lack of effort on his part. Should they probably have cast someone of the actual descent of Genghis Khan? Yes,
obviously.
It was the 50s, 60s. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. But my 3 dishonorable mentions, one of them I haven't actually seen, but just reading it out loud, I know for a fact it wasn't going to work to begin with. In Oz the Great and Powerful, Sam Raimi had the great idea of casting Mila Kunis as the Wicked Witch of the West.
I have not seen this movie, so I don't know.
I don't know what idiot thought that was a good idea. That's making Idina Menzel and Wicked seem like an incredibly subtle choice, and that's really saying a lot, which... Look, Sam Raimi directing actors has never really been his forte, at least not really directing actors in a straightforward, serious level, except for maybe A Simple Favor with Billy Bob Thornton and Bill Paxton. That had really good performances. And
Sam Raimi's more of an indie horror director, I think. That's where he shines with the Evil Dead series and such like that. As much as I like his Spider-Man stuff, I think he just needs to do indie films that no one sees.
He's really good at directing cheesy over-the-top performances at just the right level, like Bruce Campbell in the Evil Dead movies, or Tobey Maguire in the first 2 Spider-Man movies. The first 2. Only the first two.
Well, I don't like spider dancing, so I will throw out there Dolph Lundgren in Masters of the Universe. I enjoy the cartoon. I think it's good, but Dolph Lundgren is terrible as He-Man in Masters of the Universe. That's a really awkward choice. I don't think Dolph Lundgren knows how to act. I think Dolph Lundgren is your Owen Wilson, your Owen Wilson type, where he's literally just himself. And if you put him as himself, like in Rocky, he's just like, look, I'm Russian guy. Oh no, I'm in this Expendables. Look, I'm guy with knife. Like that. Like that's about the level of his acting. So to put him in Masters of the Universe, which is a very interesting fantasy universe, I just think didn't work. I will throw out Jessica Lange and Charles Gordon in King Kong from 1976 because that did not work for me. Jeff Bridges had some fun. I appreciate him in the role, but they go to an island to collect oil and they don't seem to care that they're collecting oil and then a giant monkey and then they do King. It's not great. And Jessica Lange plays the lead like the girl that King Kong falls in love with. And Charles Gordon is the Jack Black or the Carl Denham role where he's like, look at me, I'm so powerful. Jeff Bridges has a lot of fun as a cool dude who's on the expedition, which is the only really shining part. But the rest of the cast is just, I honestly think it could have been something great because going to an island to collect oil is a new concept. But it sounds like they don't care about money. If you're going to collect oil, you got to be money hungry. They are not. That's an issue. What's another one of your honorable mentions, Tyler?
Okay, so number 2 is also an incredibly obvious one. Out of all the actors who just were supposed to do an accent, but either chose not to or kept going back and forth, I went with the easiest choice possible with Keanu Reeves in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I actually sort of like the cheesiness of this. It's not great, but it's fun. It's a cheesy movie. It's not a great performance.
Well, like, here's the thing. I appreciate what Coppola did with the entire movie, like be as faithful to the book as possible. There was a lot of really good practical effects. Gary Oldman as Dracula and Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing. Mm-hmm. You can't get any better than that. But I mean... Yeah. Reeves as the lawyer who's sort of British, half Ted. It just...
I have a good time with this movie, but I 100% understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And my last dishonorable mention, I had to put a superhero casting on here. And again, I went for an easy one, but it's really hard not to complain about it. Jennifer Garner as Elektra. I appreciate what she was going for, but she's just, not only was the writing for the character way too stoic, because I mean, even though the Netflix version of Elektra had its problems, Elodie Yung really brought out the frustration, the femme fatale nature of the character. She wasn't quiet and mysterious like Garner was trying to, and I appreciate the fact that Garner was trying to be quiet and mysterious. That is the character of Elektra, but she just doesn't have it. Like she can do the stunt work perfectly fine, but that's only doing half the battle. She still has to be a very convincing, quiet, withdrawn loner, and she's just not bad. She's the girl next door, and if she stuck to being the girl next door in most movies, I wouldn't really have a problem with that. But to her credit, she wants to prove that she can do more than that, and I'm looking forward to the day that she finally does. But
yeah, Jennifer Garner is a cream-filled cookie in the world of actors when there's so many other better cookies out there.
Cream-filled peppermint. Let's be fair on that one.
Peppermint's bad.
She wasn't bad in it. I'll give her that.
I just can't. I just can't with Jennifer Garner. She reminds me of like Melba Toast when I think of personalities.
Well, hey,
she's just not entertaining.
No. I believe you. Hey, I completely agree. If you've ever seen Camping with her and David Tennant,
no,
that is full. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I will say I do enjoy her on 13 Going on 30, but I only like that movie because Mark Ruffalo gives it his all. He's phenomenal in that movie, and I think the concept is interesting. But Mark Ruffalo and the supporting cast carries that movie. I'm gonna throw another one out there. Brie Larson is Captain Marvel. Every moment she's on screen, she looks bored out of her actual mind. Like Maria Rambeau is interesting. The kid is interesting. Samuel L. Jackson and the cat are having a great time. The action sequences are cool. The story's awesome. And Brie Larson's like, you want me to act? Why did I do that? I could just talk boring. Oh, you want me to be excited? Yeah, I'm excited now. Like, there's no tonal difference in her acting. I think it's a paycheck for her, straight up. I don't think she was in it. I don't think she understood the comics. And
Well,
maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. Everyone else in that movie, and it should have been great, but her performance just didn't do anything for me. It felt like she was just there to make the money. Because, like, in Room, she's phenomenal in Room. She gives it her all. In Free Fire, she has to work with this character who's literally trying to set up this gun deal, and she has more personality in 5 minutes of that than she does entire Captain Marvel. She has more personality in her 3 minutes in Endgame, where she just blows a ship, winks at the camera, does the girl setup shot, kicks Thanos, and disappears. She has more personality saying, "Oh, I'm on another planet." Like, I don't know what happened, but like, she doesn't care about the role for me, and I think it could have been.
I know
great.
what happened.
What happened, Tyler?
Well, first of all, they made the bold choice to have her film Endgame before her own damn solo movie. So that might have had something to do with it. Not a good move. I don't know what they were thinking.
But you think she'd be more excited about the character because she gets to flesh it out. That's cool.
That's true. And like, here's the thing. I don't mind her in the movie, but every complaint that people have about her is completely warranted. I just found her deadpan, sarcastic vibe serviceable. Like, I didn't hate her or anything. I thought I was going to despise her the entire time because Brie Larson as a person has become one of those actors who is like activist first, actor second. That used to be Jessica Chastain. That used to be
I like Jessica Chastain. She's a pretty good director if you give her the chance.
No, here's the
Game
thing.
was phenomenal.
Jessica Chastain used to be like that. Jennifer Lawrence used to really be like that.
Whatever happened to Jennifer Lawrence?
She's had a couple moments like that, but here's the thing. I like both of them because when you judge them just based on their performances, they do a really good job. And that's because they don't just go for the feminist empowerment theme, which, don't get me wrong, can still be done extremely well. And they've done that before. It's just they've picked movies that have had nothing to do with that at the same time. They know how to differentiate politics from entertainment. Brie Larson, I think, is still kind of figuring that out, or at least back when she was a child star, because she did do some child acting jobs. She's
Hoot.
Yes.
Great flick.
And
she had more personality in that than Captain Marvel.
I hate to stoke the flames in you on this one, but she was also one of the bullies in Sleepover. She just wasn't the one in charge.
Oh, you know how I feel about Sleepover.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine, but
she's really good in Scott Pilgrim. She's great character work there. Just
she was in Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. It's been a few
boyfriend
years.
of the vegan or something.
It's been a few years. I don't remember.
Either way, there's a few glimmering moments in her performance when she's talking to Maria Rambo, but other than that, she just feels like she doesn't want to be there, like a robot or a computer filmed it. I'm going to throw out Buddy Epson from the Davy Crockett series. I don't like him. I personally don't think he suits the books or the story very well. He's just a random old hillbilly. He reminds me of my grandpa trying to talk about Model T Fords. Like, he's just a guy hanging out. He doesn't seem like Davy Crockett's buddy from the material. Like, it just doesn't work for me. And here's here's one, and I want to talk about this because this is pissing me off. Okay, this is pissing me off, Tyler. Ray Fisher from Justice League. I don't like him. It's not because of what he did.
Thank you.
So I watched the Snyder Cut. And I just want to go off on a tangent here for a minute because I'm a little pissed. So this is the world we live in, where bullies and people who literally tell people to go fuck themselves on the internet and say you should kill yourself because you don't like Zack Snyder gets a studio to make a giant fucking movie because they're bullying them into what they're doing. They released a freaking black and white cut because they want to restore the fucking Snyder Cut. And then Ray Fisher, I'm going to say it, you go off and say things happened on set. We believe you. You haven't said shit. You haven't said jack shit. And then you go out and you get a third-party person that you want to do this thing. And then you don't believe them after you handpick them. Oh, I'm not done yet, Tyler. I'm just going to go at this. And then you say you're not going to work with anyone at Warner Brothers because they're abusive and they're this and they're this. And then you go and promote this fucking movie. And then you have the gall to say people of color and descent aren't getting opportunities when they're casting the side characters in other movies. What the fuck are you on, and can you get out of my life? You don't deserve to be in that movie because you don't have respect for it. You are creating a toxic fandom. All the fans are toxic. Don't give them anything. Don't give them the suicide air cut. Do not give bullies shit. If people are telling you to go kill yourself, don't let them in your life and ignore them. I'm done now. I'm sorry, Ray Fisher. I can't.
No. Hey, here's the thing. Like, I kind of lost a friend on Twitter, like one of my first Twitter friends, partly because of this. Like, I didn't even do what you did. I just asked, did he give any specifics? And the dude just types, yeah, he's been saying this for months. And I mean, like, no. What I mean is, like, what racist accusations is he accusing him of?
I want to know.
You know what that Twitter friend of mine said?
What did he say?
I have no idea. He walked out of the conversation.
And this is where
That's how
#MeToo
little
is
people
going too
fucking
far.
care.
Cancel culture is ridiculous. It's
fucking horrible.
There is a level of cancel culture that I understand. There are some terrible men out there. There are some terrible women out there. But I am pissed off at people literally canceling people because you don't like them. I don't like Leonardo DiCaprio. Do I think he should stop acting? No. I just don't personally like him. He's a good actor. He's very well done. People are going after Chris Pratt on Twitter and making lies about him, and they don't get canceled. If you want to cancel people,
they'll get sued. They'll get sued if they get found 100%. Out.
If you decide that someone says a racist comment or something stupid or has played a role in the past or has a tweet from 10 years ago, James Gunn, that's ridiculous. If you do that and that actor gets canceled, they lose their job, they lose their credibility, you never ever see them again. If you ever have said anything horrible in your fucking life, anything, and they find that and they put that on you, you deserve to lose your job. You deserve to have the same exact punishment as them. So before you go out and judge people because you don't like them or you don't this, take a look at your fucking self, look in your heart, look in your brain and say, maybe we should be nice to each other, because cancel culture is killing everything. It's killing comedy. It's killing love. It's killing hope. It's literally killing everything. And people don't want to be judged. You hide behind your keyboards and judge others. But if someone called you out, you wouldn't have jack shit happen to you. They're human people. They're human beings. Anyway, let's get to our show. I'm done my rant. Unless you got something to add.
Well, I was just going to say to all the Snyder fans who are seriously still being pretentious and full of shit and are, for whatever reason, still watching our video, they put the Snyder cut out to make a buck off of you. That's what
then
they
you
do
got the
with
black and white cut. You got it all. So shut the fuck up and go away. Let the people make the movies they want. They're not going to make movies you love. They're going to make
Warner Brothers.
Decisions.
Warner Brothers does not make director's cuts because they care about your feelings. They care about your fucking wallet. Why do you think they put out Batman v Superman and then the Ultimate Edition at the exact same fucking time? You guys are idiots.
And it's a studio. We do not have the control in what the studio has to say. It's a business. If you have
apparently we do. I mean, look, we do. I mean, fucking look at Lucasfilm. It's like the fans are unofficial investors, which here's the thing. Like, if the people requesting Gina Carano to get fired actually invested in Lucasfilm, then maybe they would have like a valid point, but they don't.
No, I think that with that situation here, she said something. She probably could have phrased it better. Could we have asked her to rephrase it? What she's talking about, instead of being like, no, you suck, fire her right away? Yes. And if she did continue to say things, we realized, oh, wait, she is something like that, or so-and-so is this, then you deal with it. It's an internal company decision. It's not our decision to make.
I said this on Twitter before, and I'm going to say it again. If we had just fucking leave her be, this could have been an opportunity for conservative and liberal filmmakers to fucking work together for once. For the first time in decades.
Defended her.
Who?
Pedro Pascal, literally the Mandalorians.
Like Pedro Pascal, Carl Weathers, Bill Burr.
It's literally people on the internet that don't like her. And if we're listening to the internet, what a sad world we're in. Anyway, Josh rants are coming. There's a lot of Josh rants today. I'm sorry. I'm just really mad at cancel culture, Tyler.
Trust me. Well, like I keep saying to you, every time we stop recording these videos, we got to make one about this at some point.
I just had to say it. I agree. I will say that the Justice League Snyder Cut had more Batman, and that's about the best part I can say about it. Other than that, the movie literally was pretty much the same to me, and there was some stupid Joker scene at the end. And I saw some tweet where they're like, oh, the post-apocalypse, the epilogue was the best part of, like, it's literally them standing in a desert. I don't know how this connects to any of the film. I'm sorry, but Snyder fans are fucking stupid. Anyway,
they're batshit insane, I'll tell you that.
I mean, I'm a James Bond fan, but I'll still admit that A View to a Kill and For Your Eyes Only have moments, but the rest of them are really, really dumb. And that Quantum of Solace doesn't work unless you watch it back to back with Casino Royale, and it's still not very good. Like, I can admit there are bad things. I will admit that UHF is not a perfect movie. I love it because of how stupid and silly it is. It doesn't make sense, really, but I love it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You can have Zack Snyder as a guilty pleasure, but don't hail him as God, is what you're doing. Anyway,
my number 6.
Just do that.
I'm just gonna. Okay, let's just take a moment to reflect on this.
Yes. Number 6.
Anyways.
It's a good number. It's almost like 9, but upside down.
There's our Josh. Okay.
Dad joke of the day.
Okay, so my number 6 is from an actor that I and my family really enjoy, from a movie that back when it came out, I wasn't really a big fan of, but once I revisited certain clips just to judge this performance on this list, I've started to appreciate it a little bit more. It is Benedict Cumberbatch's performance from August Osage County. Now, for those who don't know what August Osage County is, what's that?
He was in that? I haven't watched that in years.
Barely, but yeah.
Okay,
but he sticks out. He sticks out for reasons. He sticks out for reasons that I'm going to get into. But for those who don't know, August Osage County is a movie based off of a Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning play about one of, if not the most dysfunctional families in the history of fiction. Not just plays, not just movies, just fiction in general, because this family from Oklahoma is fucking insane. And here's the thing. When I first saw the movie, I thought it was really just an Oscar bait excuse, given how it's a huge ensemble performance. It did get a couple of Oscar nominations, and just how not very subtle the drama or the comedy is. In fact, I didn't even think there was that much comedy in it. But I will say this, over time, I've really grown to appreciate the performances from Meryl Streep, Julia Roberts, Margot Martindale, and Chris Cooper, because the four of them have a ton of moments to shine. Meryl Streep doesn't disappear into the role, but she's still a lot of fun to watch as this incredibly outspoken, bigoted Southern lady who is dealing with oral cancer and yet is still popping pills like it's nobody's business. Julia Roberts as her oldest daughter, who despises everything about her, which is probably why she's inheriting the mean-spirited nature that she just has grown to resent about her mom. So for once, hating Julia Roberts is actually intentional. But here's the thing. From the moment I saw him on screen, I could not buy into Cumberbatch for a second as the shy, socially awkward, and underachieving youngest member of the family, whose only redeeming quality is that he has a very tender, loving relationship with his cousin that takes a very interesting twist halfway through that has absolutely no resolution, which just makes me wonder why they even bothered.
Like there's a tiny bit of incest and they just ignore it vibe?
Ignore's not really the word I would use, but yeah, they definitely
use as a word here.
It's really hard to describe, and I don't want to spoil it, but I will say this: Cumberbatch does put in as much effort as he does with every single performance of his. And just a minor side note, I've said this in our adaptations video, but if you haven't seen the miniseries Patrick Melrose, go watch it. It is one of the best television shows I have ever seen. Cumberbatch is absolutely phenomenal. He steals every scene. He completely disappears into the role. He made me cry twice during the last episode. He was that good. But shy, socially awkward, and constantly belittled by his mom every single second of the movie. Do you really believe that about him? I give him credit that he tries to make us believe that he's socially awkward. His body language is incredibly slow and stilted, and whenever he moves fast and energetic, he's incredibly klutzy. There's a whole argument about him dropping his mom's casserole, and because his mom hates him every single second, that obviously doesn't help. There are moments where you definitely feel sorry for him, but considering how tall he is, considering how handsome he is, I mean, seriously, perfect skin, perfect hair, despite being a stereotypically Southern gentleman from Oklahoma, and apparently a gifted songwriter too. dude's just not convincing as a dweeb. He should have swapped roles with Ewan McGregor as Julia Roberts' separated husband, because he's also not, that's the other thing. Ewan McGregor is not mean-spirited enough to be this separated husband who is already in a relationship with a younger woman and has some valid points about why Julia Roberts is turning into her mother, but his adulterous lifestyle also makes him a complete hypocrite. And the fact that he was kind of jealous of her father to begin with based on his success as a writer, it just wasn't very convincing. I mean, Ewan McGregor has done some great roles where he was the shy and insecure individual, and Cumberbatch being a much more philandering but still supportive and smart husband would actually be a nice change of pace for him. So many things I've changed my mind about when it comes to this movie, but Ewan McGregor and Cumbernuts in particular, which for those who are wondering, yeah,
I call him Cucumber Man.
Well, Cumbernuts was the nickname that my dad came up with because we weren't going to call my sister a cumber bitch, especially she was in middle school when she started watching Sherlock and fell in love with Cumbernuts. I couldn't flat out say it. In fact, in my note,
Sherlock, but we've already previously discussed this. It's all about
you talked about it in last week's video. I know, but right down to the point that Cumbernuts is actually written in my notes right here. I don't even call him. This is the first time in years that I've ever even said the name Benedict Cumberbatch. It probably hasn't been since my Doctor Strange video that I've actually used his name. It's just so fucking weird.
Cumbernuts. Oh man, that's amazing. I haven't seen this movie since when it came out. I watched it and sort of just didn't really think too hard about it. So,
I mean, it's an actor's piece, and it's a really good actor's piece. It's just there were one or two other roles that he just would have been far better at.
I do like Ewan McGregor. I don't know how you make him unlikable. My number 6 is I'm a big fan of this franchise. I'm a big fan of the original 1950s and 40s franchise. I'm a big fan of the reboot in the 90s, as cheesy as that is. And I like the Tom Cruise reboot. I love The Mummy. The Mummy is a fun romp that has some horror elements, some very practical bits, and just some really great small-time character work, as well as incorporating the comedy. And if you go back to the 1940s and 50s mummies, I love those. I think they're very cheesy. They're of the time. The Universal horror monsters are absolutely delightful. I really do like the reboot with Brendan Fraser. It is not a great movie, but I have a great time watching The Mummy from 1999 because I grew up with that movie. It's fun. The second one is a little cheesy, and apparently they're like reincarnated people. And the third one has Jet Li, and the game's not even finished on PS2 that I have.
Abominable Snowman.
Yeah, and I enjoy those for what they are. They are not great movies. And when 2017's Tom Cruise's Mummy came out, I was very excited because it had Russell Crowe. We had Sophia Boutella, who had just shone in The Kingsman and did amazing with swords on her feet. Like one of the coolest characters I've seen in such a long time. And I watched that movie. And I really did like it for what it was. It was not a great film by any means. And I think it had some, and hear me out here. You're going to probably disagree with me, but that's okay because we're allowed to do that. People can have different opinions. Oh, look, internet. I like Tom Cruise. I think he's fun. I think he's having a blast doing whatever he's doing. I can't tell you what he's doing. I like Russell Crowe. I think his scenes are a little bit too long at points. Sophia Boutella's Amatet is really, really fun. But there's one performance in this movie that I just can't get around. Every time he jumps on screen, I'm like, why? What is that? Why are you here, Jake Johnson? Jake Johnson plays his best friend who dies and comes back, Sergeant Vale. I don't know what this guy's doing. I feel like Jake Johnson, he has moments in his comedies that I appreciate. He was in Game Night, if I recall, off the top of my head, and he was in a couple things. Like I appreciate him in Let's Be Cops as well. And he has moments, but he is an awkward as hell actor. This man is weird and awkward, and his comedy is very unique to him, and I appreciate that. But in The Mummy, he's trying to be funny. He's trying to be dead and play a serious role. For example, let's take the bathroom scene where Tom Cruise goes to the bathroom and he sees him appear in the mirror behind him. And it seems to me like this could be in like a Seth Rogen comedy or like Neighbors 2. He's the creepy guy who's helping him out. Like it just doesn't work. I don't know what the director was thinking. I don't know what the script, if you got a more serious actor in there, like if Russell Crowe played that role, it would be this dark, menacing sort of thing. If you had anyone else in that role, you could literally grab Judi Dench and the role would be better, even though it's completely out to lunch. Jake Johnson just does not fit to be the best friend in The Mummy. It's like if you were followed by a ghost, but your ghost was like Adam Sandler from SNL in the 90s, making weird fart noises and yelling fuck as he plays Dolph. And you would not know what to think. You don't know what's going on. You're like, why is this ghost obsessed with me? I met you for like 5 minutes. We hung out. We went down a hole, pulled up a mummy tomb, and we're like, yo, when you die, I'm going to haunt you because I have nothing better to do with my life. It doesn't work. I don't get it.
Hold on. So,
please.
So you said anyone else could have played this part.
Yes.
Imagine if Nicolas Cage came back from the dead in his Wicker Man bear suit during
at least
scene.
That would be fun. At least that'd be fun. This isn't fun. This is just weird. This is just weird. It's like if Andy Warhol was trying to put a painting in a film or something. He makes great films. They're weird. They don't make a lot of sense. It just doesn't work. I feel like you need Tom Cruise is the silly one. He's the lead. You got to get anybody else. Literally bring in Ving Rhames. That would be cool. I like Ving Rhames. Everything that man does is dope. Literally anybody. It just don't work for me. It doesn't.
Hey, Cruise, it's me. I came back from the dead. I came back as a bear. Not entirely sure why.
Anyway, have you seen The Mummy, Tyler?
I saw it once when it came out in theaters, and I was blown away by how many stupid decisions were made in this. I mean, look, I have no problem with a movie being a horror and a comedy, but man, did they completely drop the ball. There's that one bit where like the mummy, there's that one bit in like the broken down church where Tom Cruise is approached by a mummy, and then all of a sudden they both look and the girl is just staring at them, and it's just like, run. And it's just like, that's your idea of comedy?
I actually really like that moment. The church sequence is fun. I like them there's some fun moments, but it's a guilty pleasure for sure.
I couldn't take Russell Crowe seriously as Hyde. I mean, I was laughing at that, and it was clear as day that I wasn't supposed to be, because I mean, here's Johnny. You know what? Russell Crowe could have just went, here's Johnny. And
like, if they had done it practically and given Russell Crowe more time, I think they gave him like 3 days on set and said, this is all we have. I think it would have worked out, but I think they rushed that. I think it could have been great, but I like it for what it is. It's a guilty movie pleasure. I just think Jake Johnson is crap in this.
It's just like Russell Crowe was doing Jeremy Irons from Dungeons and Dragons, just going, da, 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 da.
I honestly still thought, I'm a big monster movie fan. So for me to see those two characters interact now and not like in the 1950s and 60s is a really neat thing to see. So I appreciated that for what it was. It's still not great by many means, but The Mummy is pretty dope. And if they had taken it seriously, I think it would be better. What's your number 5, Tyler? So we can stop talking about The Mummy now.
Okay, my number 5 is going to be a completely weird choice, but the reason I picked this is because even if the 2019 edition of Cats was a competently made movie, which would have been a complete miracle if that had been the case, this casting choice would have been still incredibly stupid and would have butchered one of my favorite songs and one of my favorite characters from the original stage show. Okay. And that is Jason Derulo as the Rum Tum Tugger.
Jason, is that the guy who did Swallow, Wallow, Wallow, whatever? He did a song about, that?
I think that was him. He's the guy that did Talk Dirty and What You Say.
Yeah, okay, I know who you mean. Yeah, I really don't know much more about him or what he looks like. Continue.
Look, here's the thing. I have no problem with pop stars transitioning into like Broadway style music. I mean, when Lady Gaga did that Sound of Music medley at the Oscars, my sister and I thought that she was going to bomb. And then 5 seconds into The Hills Are Alive, we're both just like, whoa.
Yes, but Lady Gaga also did 2 albums with Tony Bennett. She's a classically trained opera singer.
That was before her stuff with Tony Bennett. But like,
oh, fair enough.
I mean, needless to say, we were blown away by it, and it made me respect pop artists a lot more for their vocal range. And look, here's the thing. If he was talented at the singing aspects that were required for this movie, that would have still been perfectly fine. But I mean, out of all the popular actors who still bombed in the movie, Rebel Wilson and James Corden were easily the most annoying aspects because their characters were just reworked to fit their like comedic personas. The James Corden bit is basically just a bad skit from his talk show, and that was really, really damn stupid. I was looking forward to seeing him do something completely different. I don't know why I was expecting that, but I mean, both of them have acting and singing range. I mean, Rebel Wilson proved she could sing with Pitch Perfect, and James Corden is a Tony-winning Broadway actor, so it's not like he didn't know what he was doing. With Jason Derulo, the first time I listened to his song in the movie, which is my favorite song from the entire show, I could not believe that they had to readjust the music in order to match his tenor singing voice. And the sad thing is, he still can't hit certain high notes within the song. And you can tell that they acknowledge that to the point where Wilson starts cracking neutering jokes in between his singing just to explain why his high notes sound so bad. It was so ridiculous. But the biggest problem for me with him in this movie in particular is that I'm guessing he was chosen for this specific part just because his songs give him that womanizing stage persona. And with the Rum Tum Tugger character, that is one of his main traits, that he kind of goes from cat to cat. He's one of the few cats in this movie that should have been constantly horny, despite the fact that he has no genitals and no testicles, which that one bit where he takes off his coat and flashes nothing and they all just go, oh.
Yeah, Cats is weird. That's all we have to say. Yeah, I did not see the new Cats. I imagine that Taylor Swift can probably hit her notes, and I imagine that Judi Dench is decent at singing. Because they're pretty good, I imagine.
Here's the thing. Taylor Swift was phenomenal. Like, she was really damn good. Like, I haven't seen her scenes. I've only listened to her music because it starts off mostly solo about her, and then she like duets with Idris Elba. They both did a really good job. And here's the thing.
Elba can sing?
Yeah,
okay.
I think he's known more for a rapper as opposed to a singer. But I mean, here's the thing. As I said before, this character should have been like the horniest out of the cats because he is a ladies' man. But for whatever reason, Derulo is actually pretty tame throughout the majority of his scenes. Part of that is, I'm trying to think exactly why. I think part of it is because he can't act while he's singing. Like, say what you will about Rebel Wilson and James Corden.
Rebel Wilson is phenomenal. She deserves so much more praise for her talent. She's funny, she's dramatic, she's just absolute talent there. If you watched our video last week, we want her to play live action Shrek.
I did hear that, yeah.
I'm so into that.
But anyways, like Rebel Wilson, James Corden, Jennifer Hudson, Judi Dench, they can act while they're singing. They can express the emotions that they're supposed to be feeling. Derulo isn't that qualified of an actor yet to really show off how he's feeling in a given moment. And it definitely doesn't help that Tom Hooper shot a lot of his scenes like from a wide shot, so you can't even really see his face half the time. But the other problem with the wide shots, and this is a big thing for me, the character barely has any choreography within his dance numbers. It's mostly him wandering from one location to another, maybe doing like one or two dance moves in between. Meanwhile, it's really the ladies who are enticed and seduced by him that are doing most of the dancing. So already, like, dude has absolutely no charm whatsoever. Say what you will about the 1998 version that was on VHS, but John Partridge as the Rum Tum Tugger, dude was nothing but flash. He had so much charisma and energy. He was like crawling like a cat. He was just strutting and like shaking his pelvis like it was absolutely no one's business. And he had a lot of these Tim Curry style expressions where he just stretches out his eyes. He smiles so wide, even sticks out his tongue at key moments to really tell how he's having a really good time, or just doing this very low-key seductive feature when he's enticing some of the other cats. He was the star of the show. He completely stole it from there. John Partridge was great. Yes.
Tom Hooper directed The King's Speech, Les Mis, The Danish Girl, and episodes of His Dark Material. How did Cats happen?
There's some debate about that. From what I understand, the visual artists keep complaining that they weren't given enough time to actually make the actors look like the cats. They complain that Hooper kept sending them really nasty emails about allegedly what a shit job they did. Because, like, it's clear as day. The end result was not supposed to be what we got.
So just a lack of timing. Okay, I was very curious.
Well, here's the thing. Like when I heard that a Cats movie was being announced, I just sat there. I'm like, why wasn't this a Tim Burton stop motion animated movie? Because that would have really, that would have highlighted like the weird, surreal atmosphere of Cats. And like Spielberg in the 80s tried to make a Cats movie with his Amblin animation. He could have done fine with it, at least in my opinion. And plus, Spielberg doing an animated movie that's not Ready Player One, I would have liked to have seen
Adventures of Tintin. Great stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's fair. You got me on that. You got me on that one.
Because I did enjoy we watched the cartoons and read the comic books for French class, you know, in grade school. Same. I just thought it was a fun adventure romp. It was great. I like the voice cast. I like it. So yours is less than perfect for Jason Derulo. Coming in at my number 5. I know there's a lot of people on the internet are going to disagree with me. And this is the one people are going to get me for. And people are going to be like, well, this one's the best in the franchise. Look at my shirt. George Lazenby is crap. George Lazenby is not an actor. If you don't know how he got the role for 1969's Honor Her Majesty's Secret Services, he faked his way in. He lied to the producers and directors. He was a model from Australia and said, no, I have this. They cast him in the movie, and we get this. Now, I want to specifically break down why I'm mad at George Lazenby here. I like Sean Connery as Bond, even in his worst outings in Thunderball, or even when he's sort of phoning it in Diamonds Are Forever. There's charm, charisma, suave. The man was born to play this role. When Ian Fleming saw Sean Connery, he changed him to be more like Sean Connery because he was the perfect embodiment of the character. I love Roger Moore. He's cheesy. He's fun. Does he make the best Bond movies? No, but when he says Bond, James Bond, he winks. He looks at the camera. He is embodying Bond. Then you have your darker Bond. You have Timothy Dalton. He only got 2 movies. He was supposed to be in Goldeneye, but he really does bring the best of both of the previous actors, Sean Connery and Roger Moore, to this sort of darker, subtle tone with 2 very different movies that are both very good in their own right. Pierce Brosnan, as silly as he is, nailed Goldeneye. That man is Bond. Daniel Craig is Bond. He looks like Bond. He acts like Bond. George Lazenby acts like a model. So if you have not seen Honor His Majesty's Secret Service, he basically has to take down Blofeld in the mountains. Now, this is probably the worst writing of Ian Fleming. It's still a very interesting book. It's basically chemical warfare. And he wants to learn about his family traits, so he goes to a lodge, and every girl's falling for him, and Bond wears a kilt. I don't like that. He gets married, and this movie does have some great performances. Blofeld played by, my brain is blanking on that. Blofeld, played by Telly Savalas, is phenomenal. Diana Rigg as Tracy, as his wife, and we get that tragic moment at the end.
Okay.
Phenomenal. We get the great storytelling of Bond falling in love. And we get to see a little bit of go back to the past. We get to see him reminiscing on his previous missions. We get a great interaction with Moneypenny, all on Moneypenny's part. Bernard Lee as M is phenomenal. But George Lazenby feels like he's never acted in anything. And that's because he hasn't, besides like a cologne commercial in the 60s. And I think for such an established franchise, you need an actor who knows what they're doing. And don't get me wrong, the action and finale on this film is great. You get blowing up the ski lodge, you're going down the hill. It's pretty dope. But for most of it, it's just George Lazenby getting laid and being like, hi, I'm George Lazenby. I'm getting laid now again. Oh, you wrote on lipstick on my leg under my kilt. Time to get laid. Oh, you're brainwashed? Let's get laid. Like he doesn't act like Bond. And even you think in those moments he would have the most opportunity to act like Bond. He feels like a high school kid who's never had sex. That's the vibe I get from this man. He's like a really awkward extra virgin olive oil. Like it doesn't fit. It just doesn't work. He doesn't seem the role. He doesn't embody Bond. And even when he says Bond, James Bond, it doesn't work. He doesn't sound like it. Peter Sellers Woody Allen made a better Bond when he said Bond, James Bond. The SEALs from Casino Royale made a better Bond when they went. He's not Bond. He's not even the second best secret agent in the whole wide world, which is a parody of it. He's not even. Austin Powers is a better secret agent, more suave than this man could ever be. It just doesn't work. I just don't get it. I'm sorry, George Lazenby. I know you said you should have done too, but it just doesn't work. You're not Bond. You don't have the attitude. You don't have the suaveness. You don't have the toxic masculinity. You just don't have it.
All right, that's enough.
Anyway, I don't like him.
Let's see. George Lazenby and the producer Albert R. Broccoli. Oh my God.
Yes,
you could not write this shit. Met for the first time when they were getting their haircut at the same barber shop. And then, yeah, Broccoli saw him as in that one commercial. And when he went for this audition, whatever, he was wearing like a nice Rolex, a Seville suit. Gee, I wonder where they got that stuff. And a confirmed role when Lazenby accidentally punched a professional wrestler acting as a stunt coordinator, impressing Broccoli with his ability to display aggression. Well, it's a huge accomplishment when you impress a piece of broccoli.
But no,
seriously, how do you get ahead in the business with a last name like Broccoli unless your broccoli is the biggest, unless your broccoli is the biggest of the bunch?
Yeah, all I know is it just doesn't work for me. It's this weird one-off in the whole Bond franchise. Like, there are bad parts in every career of Sean Connery, all these actors, except for Timothy Dalton. I say Timothy Dalton is the most perfect Bond because he has two movies, very tonally different, but very well done and produced. But I mean, Pierce Brosnan has, The World's Not Enough and Die Another Day, which I still enjoy. Not great movies. Daniel Craig has Quantum of Solace, but any of their bad movies on the worst day are better than whatever this is. This story is literally about brainwashing a bunch of girls by giving them 3 vacations to the Alps to go back and plant seeds that will literally spread and kill the world through airborne viruses. They're literally going to go plant seeds on their father's farms in various states to kill the world. That is the book plot. It just... Death by farming, guys.
This sounds like the setup to the Wicker Man. Wow.
It sounds like a really boring thriller about COVID, like, oh no, we're going to get everyone COVID and they're going to go and talk to people. And like, it has good elements, but George Lazenby is not one of them. Anyway, what you got at number 4?
My number 4 is probably the shortest one on this list, but I still can't believe that this actually happened. Now, a little bit of an introduction. The Flintstones was probably one of the best Hanna-Barbera shows that we had ever had. It had some of our favorite characters.
What about Yogi Bear?
I never watched Yogi Bear, so I couldn't really.
Picnic baskets.
I was more of a Scooby-Doo and Flintstones kid when it came to Hanna-Barbera. So yeah, but Flintstones, in my opinion, was one of their best shows. It had some of their best characters, even if it does completely rip off Jackie Gleason and the Honeymooners, which I've seen a couple of Honeymooners episodes, and let me tell you, they're not kidding on the plagiarism accusations.
No, Honeymooners is okay. I think it's very dated, so I don't mind.
I don't know. I thought the Alice stuff was really ahead of its time. Like, there's this one rant about just how easy being a housewife is, and it's one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. It was just that good. But anyways, the Flintstones movie had John Goodman and some sexy Halle Berry moments, but that was about it.
Who was Halle Berry?
She was Fred's new secretary when he got promoted by the name of Sharon Stone. Now,
are we talking Swordfish or like Die Another Day vibes?
Oh, hold on. You haven't let me finish.
Okay.
For a lot of Flintstones fans, the biggest red flag was the casting of the Rubble family, especially Rosie O'Donnell as Betty.
Oh, here we go. Just get into it. I'm excited.
I have no idea what casting director saw her stand-up comedy or her talk show, and thought that her incredibly blunt and loudmouthed attitude would suit the very sweet, down-to-earth, and charming characteristics that made Betty a likable, if very flat and just very bland character. So I get that there weren't really that many casting options to begin with, but if you really saw Rosie O'Donnell on screen and thought that her loudmouthed attitude would translate so well into this, I'm not entirely sure what happened, but from what I understand, the reason that Rosie O'Donnell was chosen over other actresses like Janine Turner from Northern Exposure, Tracy Ullman, or I'm not even kidding, freaking Princess Vespa herself was considered for this part at one point. So seriously, Princess Vespa could have had a career because the Flintstones movie, even though it wasn't a very good translation of the show, was a really big hit.
Oh, it was huge. I remember everyone talking about it. They saw this Flintstones movie and it was like the big thing in school. Everyone was like, what's this? You know? Yeah, it was huge. It was a great family movie you could take your flick to. It's like that squirrel movie that, if we put it in theaters, families would flock to it. Is it perfect? No, but families would love it, sort of thing. Or Alexander's Bad and Perfectly Horrible Day.
Do not ever talk about the nut job ever.
No, I'm talking about the one you reviewed recently with the superhero squirrel.
People wouldn't have went to the theater to see Flora.
I think so. There's not a lot of family films.
It's not that big. It's not that big of a movie though, and like when you look at it, it's like even with the cameras that were used for Flora and Ulysses that have that picture perfect screen quality, almost like a daytime soap, it was clear as day that it was supposed to be for Disney Plus only. At least that was my interpretation of it anyways. But the reason Rosie O'Donnell was picked over Tracy Ullman, Princess Vespa, and Janine Turner was because she could do the Betty laugh. That's it. And back onto the thing about how Betty was a completely bland and disposable character to begin with, there was an opportunity, in my opinion, to take Rosie O'Donnell and kind of flip the character around, because part of what makes the relationship between Fred and Wilma so good is that even though Wilma is very sweet and loving, much like Alice and the Honeymooners, she is not afraid to stand her ground and prove to Fred that she can be and often is a much smarter individual than him. Imagine if, for all the times that Barney has naively stuck up to Fred, despite the fact that Fred completely treats him like shit half the time, imagine if Betty took the slow descent from being the bland but still very likable character from the 60s and started turning into Rosie O'Donnell, where she would have nothing but like angry rants about how Fred is the worst best friend ever and Barney should be ashamed for even going along with his schemes to begin with.
Sounds like imagine a terraforming episode of Animorphs.
Just imagine the flip side of it. It would have been like one of the original self-referential characters or one of the first self-referential adaptations of a TV show. That would have been really something. And plus, this didn't happen yet. Like the Rosie O'Donnell, Donald Trump feud hadn't started yet, but like if it had, a part of me wonders what would happen if you could weave that kind of stuff into it. Because Kyle Chandler is like the evil rich guy in Fred's company that wants to I don't know, take over Bedrock or something like that. I can't even remember. That's how forgettable the Flintstones
I do remember that Rick Moranis was very good in this film.
I didn't really buy him as Barney, if I'm being completely honest, but he wasn't technically doing a bad job.
But Rick Moranis always gives it 100%, even if it's a crappy movie. So
no, trust me. Like I like Rick Moranis. In fact, the reason he was cast was the original choice was Danny DeVito, but due to obvious reasons, he was too scruffy for the role. And DeVito's like, hey, why don't you just cast Rick Moranis? He's the little doofus and everything. And here's the thing, like the weird story about the Flintstones casting, like John Goodman was at a table read for the Steven Spielberg movie Always. Okay. And at that table read, Spielberg was like, ladies and gentlemen, we have our Fred Flintstone. And it's just like, oh, okay. Like Goodman has made it no secret that he was kind of guilt tripped into being in the movie. And there were other choices. Like John Candy was at one point considered to be in the movie.
I'd be fine with that.
And you're not going to believe this. He was allegedly not fat enough, and it would have been inappropriate to wear a fat suit.
Okay.
And there are other choices that I'm going to bring up here. This is just such a weird...
This movie sounds like a complicated history mess. Please continue.
Oh, it was. It absolutely was. Okay, so John Candy, Jim Belushi. I can kind of imagine that. Dan Aykroyd. Okay, back
Okay.
then, if you've
He
seen
was- he
pictures
was-
of now, if you've seen pictures of him nowadays, you would have the perfect fit to play Fred. If I'm being completely honest.
I mean, Dan Aykroyd was pretty popular, so I can see that choice. That makes sense.
Bill Murray and Chevy Chase.
Okay, Chevy Chase in this movie would be ridiculous.
I can kind of imagine Chevy Chase as maybe Barney, but like just a maybe. Or
You know who
no,
I
Bill
want?
Murray
as,
is.
you
hell,
know
bro, Bill
what they
Murray can
should
do the
have done
Barney
with this
voice.
movie? This is what they should have done. I'm just gonna say it, and this is gonna be a weird choice. You know my favorite comedy duo on screen, Tyler. Do you know what it is?
No, what is it?
I want Richard Pryor and Gene Hackman. They are so good together. Imagine them in like
You want
the
Richard?
makeup.
You want Richard Pryor to be Fred and Gene Wilder to be Barney?
Why not? Bring it on. It'd be hilarious. They just riff
And
off
trust
each
me,
other.
I
It'd be
get
funny.
I get where you're going.
They would just riff like crazy. It's like Key
Yeah,
and
they
Peele. You
would.
put them if you put Key and Peele in anything, they riff. They're funny. That's how it is. That's what I want. But no, I understand how this is a lousy casting choice. Roseanne is she's like Melissa McCarthy, but not racist.
I said Rosie O'Donnell, not Roseanne
Oh.
Barr.
Oh, talking about a different person. Oh, Rosie.
But I think we could still agree that was a really stupid casting choice.
Yeah.
I like that was supposed to be the shortest choice on this list, and then we veered off into how none of the casting outside of John Goodman is Fred. Because I mean, that's just perfect.
Oh, that's a great casting right there.
You can't get any better than that. And even though Goodman was guilt tripped into it, he had fun being on the set. I mean,
Oh, I imagine.
that's the best part of the movie. The sets look exactly like the cartoon.
I watched a lot of that cartoon. I also watched a lot of the Jetsons. I was a huge fan of the Jetsons and Josie and the Pussycats and
Josie and the
Speed
Pussycats.
Racer
That's right.
and pretty much everything Hanna-Barbera did. I was a Hanna-Barbera kid. What can I say?
See, I only watched one episode of Josie and the Pussycats, and even I knew it was just
Oh, it's Discount Scooby-Doo, 100%.
exactly.
But I didn't
Right
mind
down
because I
to-
liked Scooby-Doo and I wanted more. They were
Except the dumb member of the group, what actually had a personality, the blonde girl who like giggled at everything.
I just loved that show when I was a kid. It was on Saturday afternoons. I watched it.
Is that 90s movie any good?
Never seen it. I'm afraid to. Because I like the
Okay.
cartoon. I like the cartoon a lot. I know it's not great, but it's just nostalgia for me, and I'm just afraid to watch a live action movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because one of these on here is one of the things that I was afraid to watch it, and I watch it, and I was right. But coming in at my number 4 pick, I love Clint Eastwood. I know you know people who love Clint Eastwood. Go ahead, he can make my day. He can do all these roles, but this is a double entry because he does movies where he just doesn't care.
I think I know one of them.
One,
Can I
I've
guess?
got 2, and I almost went with Where Eagles Dare because that movie is a very interesting World War II spy thriller where they're trying to break into a Nazi base and it's in the snow. But Clint Eastwood, every time Clint
Can I
Eastwood
guess
says,
one of them?
yes,
Is one of them Paint Your Wagon?
no, but that one's
Really?
bad too.
Okay.
But every time he's in Where Eagles Dare, the rest of the cast is nailing it and doing this sort of really cool like mission where they have to get in and get a prisoner and get him out on the plane. Clint Eastwood just comes in and kills the mood, the pacing, everything. I don't love it, but the one that for me is the worst in Clint Eastwood's career, and no, it's not Every Way Which Loose or any which way, what other the one with the monkey?
Pink Cadillac?
No. For me, it comes down to White Hunter, Black Heart. Have you seen this movie, Tyler? Okay.
I've never even heard of it,
Picture
but
a
go
movie
on.
where Clint Eastwood plays himself badly as a director. And he's going to direct a movie in Africa. But before he can do that, he has to hunt a rhino. But before he can hunt a rhino, he has to make the moral choice not to hunt a rhino or direct a movie, and the movie ends. He's pulling triple duty on here. He's writing, directing, and producing this 1990 atrocity. Oh, it's an elephant. Sorry, it's not a rhino.
Whatever. What year was this?
1990. So Clint Eastwood plays a boring version of Clint Eastwood being a director, and he's like, "Hi guys, I'm Clint Eastwood. So we're working on a movie, but before we can start anything about making this movie, I have to give you long monologues. I have to talk to you. I have to feed you dinner as a cast. And what I will do is I'm going to hunt an elephant or a rhino or something. And before I can do that, I have to make a moral choice and sit around and say boring words in a poorly written script. And I'm not going to act because I'm doing way too much on set for me to actually care about the role I'm doing. And literally, it's like if you saw the behind the scenes of Clint Eastwood making a movie in Africa, but it was just like a candid shot, but they shot it like a movie. Like if you're like, oh, Clint Eastwood's making a movie in Africa, that's pretty cool. But like, oh, but we're just going to show the behind the scenes, but shoot it cinematically. It's just not. This movie literally, it lives and dies on the performance of Clint Eastwood to carry this film. But he doesn't carry this film. That's the problem. It's bad. I encourage you.
Well, you're apparently one of the few, because I'm already looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score. 86%. White Hunter Blackheart is powerful, intelligent, and subtly moving. A fascinating meditation on masculinity and the insecurity of artists. I'm going to read a few other box quotes on this because allegedly people have grown to like this movie more. You're going to hate this.
Seen it 7 times.
Jim Hoberman of The Village Voice called it Eastwood's best work before Unforgiven. Fuck off. An underrated Hall of Mirrors movie about movie-inspired megalomania. Dave Kerr and Jonathan Rosenbaum call it a masterpiece, pointing out the Brechtian nature of Eastwood's performance as he never disappears into the role he's playing. Instead, he is always recognizably his unique star persona.
He's
while showing
Clint
us
Eastwood. That's the problem. He's a boring version of Clint Eastwood. That's the biggest issue.
While showing us what he imagines John Huston to have been. The result is a running commentary on his two subjects, Huston and himself, the ruminations and questions of a free man. God, why don't you guys go sit under a rainbow and write a poem? I mean, seriously.
It's honestly literally 2.5 hours of dullness.
I'll take your word for it on that.
I've watched it 7 times. I want to like it because I can sit through Paint Your Wagon and Pink Cadillac. It's tough, but I can do it. I own this movie and I still don't like it.
Why do you own it?
I want to like it. I own Clint Eastwood movies.
Yeah, I know you own Clint Eastwood movies, but I mean, wow.
It came in one of those DVD packs where I have the other one is like Heartbreak Ridge, so I like that one.
You're gonna pay full price for me. I don't give any fucking serviceman's discounts. Too bad your old lady does.
But no, I just don't understand what happened here. It should have been an amazing Clint Eastwood performance, and it's just boring. Well, you got a number 3. I'm very curious because we're getting near the top, so we're gonna start getting petty.
Okay, this performance was one that I didn't actually watch until yesterday, just to see if this choice being on so many other miscasting lists was absolutely true. And after a few seconds in, I already couldn't stand just how stupid of a choice this was. It was hard for me to watch because of how poorly cast this was. If I'm sure you remember that Gus Van Sant made a remake of Psycho that was shot for shot with very few exceptions.
Here we go. Just go for it. Just rip the Band-Aid
fucking
off.
Great idea. Which, by the way, fucking great idea to do a shot for shot remake of a movie. I mean, even though Bates Motel was crappy fan fiction, they at least did something slightly different. I don't know if you've
Psycho
ever seen
2 and 3 are really great flicks if you get a chance. Seriously, really great flicks.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Psycho 2 over the years. Like people are still kind of split on 3 and 4, but
I like 3 a lot.
But the thing everybody remembers about the Psycho remake is Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates.
Yeah.
You know what? When I first heard this on like a Watch Mojo worst remake list, I just sat there. I'm like, what fucking idiot came up with this idea? Like, did Gus Van Sant like turn to drugs at this point? Like, what happened?
Well,
and of course, when Chris Stuckman
movies, so.
And Stuckman talked about it in his worst horror remakes video, and he had one of the best bits I've ever seen from him. Hey, let's remake Psycho and have Vince Vaughn play the guy. Why don't we just remake The Exorcist again and have Owen Wilson play the girl? Oh man, I'm being possessed. Wow.
I do want to just, while we're on horror, I do think that the 2013 Carrie, I think Chloe Grace Moretz did a fantastic job as the role. It's one of the few in her performance. I think she did great. I know people don't like it, but I think she did phenomenal.
She's not convincing as a bullied kid. That's my big problem.
I
regardless,
think she did pretty good. So,
yeah. But I mean, full disclosure, casting Anthony Perkins as Bates in the original movie was also a pretty risky casting choice too, because at that point he was known more as a romantic leading man. Yes. But that was also kind of the reason Hitchcock chose him. He could blend in just about any scene, which is also what made him a much more terrifying serial killer once it was revealed in the end that he was the main titular psycho. But with Vince Vaughn, every time he's on screen, his eyes are so wide. He's constantly stuttering. He stutters more than... Oh my God. He stutters more than every movie with Jeff Goldblum in it. I'm sorry, but Jeff Goldblum's stuttering makes him a terrible actor. I have never understood why people love that about Jeff Goldblum. Vince Vaughn stutters more in one scene than Jeff Goldblum has in his entire career. He has cleared his throat in one scene more than... No, sorry. That's a different casting choice. I almost said something else, but I mean, yeah, like the way he's constantly stretching out his eyes, the way he's constantly stuttering and shaking, it's like he's going through drug withdrawal, and the lack of subtlety.
Keep going. This is great.
I'm turning into you. What the fuck is going on?
This is the show where we elevate our... I don't usually rant, Tyler, so I elevate my personality to make it more entertaining.
Fuck off. But anyways, like the lack of subtlety makes you wonder why it takes forever for Anne Heche or William H. Macy to wonder if he's actually hiding something. I mean, I give William H. Macy credit that the character he plays already is suspicious of Norman, but like he doesn't really convey it until later on in his scenes, because people tend to forget William H. Macy is the private detective, Anne Heche is Marion. I think Julianne Moore is the younger sister who becomes the main character in the second half, I think. Oh, wow. And Julianne Moore ended up doing the Carrie remake too as the mom.
I think she did phenomenal in that role. She was the best part of that movie.
She was decent in it. I really liked Judy Greer as the teacher in the Carrie remake. I'll give her that. Her standing up to the bully, those were good scenes. Those ones still hold up. I'll give you that one. But I mean, Vince Vaughn, I've already said the whole drug addicted thing, but like none of the original subtlety is there. He's the most obvious serial killer in the world and nobody picks up on it. And that's really all I have to say about it. It's so self-explanatory. Just pick any scene from the remake and you'll just sit there and you'll go, what the fuck is going on? And the nicest thing I can say is Vince Vaughn has turned himself around and become a great actor. When you see stuff like Heartbreak Ridge, Brawl in Cell Block 99, Dragged Across Concrete especially because he gives a dramatic performance without ever really raising his voice. He's very monotone, but it's based on the fact that he was an army vet and a modern day cop. He's seen a lot of shit, but he's still...
Just talk about Cell Block 99 for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
That movie is possibly the most upsetting and disturbing movie I've seen in my entire life.
Really?
The tone, the pacing, the acting, the way they manipulate the characters. It's genius. And I hate it and never want to see it again because I just am so uncomfortable and I don't like what they do to the characters. The violence is excellent, but probably the most realistic portrayal of violence I've ever seen. I'm glad I watched it, but I never want to watch it again. And Vince Vaughn, literally probably a performance of a lifetime right there.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
I mean, Dragged Across Concrete is a much easier movie to watch, and I say that because I have seen it 2 or 3 times. It's a really slow burn, but it has one of Vince Vaughn's best performances. It has one of Mel Gibson's best in like years, because the two of them are very burnt out cops who have seen a lot of shit, so they're not really fazed by anything. But because Vaughn's considerably younger than Gibson, he still has moments where he's visibly shocked, but he doesn't really shout and yell because he knows there's no real purpose to it. Like, dude's really turned around.
Yeah, I do think that Vince Vaughn from Swingers has come a long way, and I think that he's gonna continue to be a force in indie movies and such. As long there was that the only hit miss I think in his career was Couples Retreat with Jon Favreau. That was a piece of shit.
You know what? I gotta be honest, that had a couple moments that did something for me. Not a lot, but a couple.
Fair enough.
And I think it's because it's Vince Vaughn working with Jon Favreau again. I think the two of them wrote it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's by no means one of their best things, but the only misfire, there are two misfires really for me in Vince Vaughn's career other than Psycho. One is The Cell, where he's that FBI agent working with J-Lo to hunt down Vincent D'Onofrio. It was the original Inception.
I missed this.
It was Inception before Inception.
I'm thinking
but it
of
was like
Cell,
a psychological horror.
I'm thinking of Cell with Kim Basinger and Chris.
No,
Chris Evans.
that's something else. That's something different. And
That's not a great movie.
season 2 of True Detective, Vaughn was not a convincing gangster in the slightest. And he does this really annoying thing where he constantly whispers all of his lines to sound more dramatic and poetic. And it was so pompous.
So let me ask you a question, Tyler. This is a very, very important question.
I'm dying to hear it.
If Vince Vaughn is not in the remake of Psycho, do we have Rosie O'Donnell or John Goodman play the role?
I can see John Goodman being decent enough. And like if Rosie O'Donnell was the voice of the mother, I mean, it would be really easy to instantly hate her. It's just like, Norman, where is my Xanax?
See, that when I think of Big Bang Theory, I think they just ripped off Psycho for the mother's voice, but did it badly. Anyway, I know you think it's funny.
They flat out call it out. There's a what if scenario if Howard didn't meet Sheldon, and there's this whole bit, Howard, where's my dinner? I'm starving. I know you're starving, Ma. The neighbors know you're starving. Starving children in Africa know you're starving. And they're just like, what makes this any different from Sheldon not being here? You didn't let me finish. And then they do the Psycho scene where it turns out like it's a skeleton, and they're all just like, did she die or did you kill her? Tomato, tomato. The point is she's dead.
Yeah, I don't like this movie. I've seen it. Yeah.
It exists.
Yeah, my number, I'm at my number 3 here. And my number 3 is, so I'm going to read you the plot of a movie, and I want you to tell me what the movie is. A young pilot finds himself recruitedly, unwittingly, into a covert and corrupt CIA area of this organization operating during the Vietnam era of Laos smuggling drugs. Name
American made?
That's correct. No, that's Air America. It's the same movie. So they just said it during the 1980s. So Air America, and I love Air America. Air America 2, Mel Gibson, Robert Downey Jr. is this great team up of this sort of fun and witty nuts smuggling drugs in and out of Vietnam. There's really great performances, wonderful character moments, and it tells the story of how they do this and how their entire operation goes off the rails and they have to escape. So in 2017, when Tom Cruise said, this is literally, they just changed the country and the era. The story of Barry Seal, an American pilot who's an ex-drug runner for the CIA in the 1980s with an operation as he gets exposed with the Iranian-Contra affair. They changed the time, they changed the conflict, and they put Tom Cruise in this. And I was incredibly excited because I love Air America 1 and 2. They're really fun sort of buddy cop drug smuggling movies. And I thought, you have Tom Cruise in here. Who's more fun in a movie than Tom Cruise? I love Mission Impossible. Oblivion has its moments. Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat is phenomenal, especially cast against Emily Blunt. I mean, even him in Mongolia or even The Firm, he's a fun actor. And so I went to the theaters and I was pumped and it looked like a good time. It was not. So first of all, it's a bad movie. Second of all, it's the least charismatic Tom Cruise performance ever. It's just a bad remake, straight up. I don't have a lot to say except that Tom Cruise should not be doing this role. It just doesn't work.
What doesn't work? Because like I've seen bits of it, and while I'm not going to say it's one of his best movies, in fact, it's the fact that he's doing a true life comedy drama in the vein of a Scorsese movie just doesn't sound. It just doesn't sound like him, but I can't really explain why. Can you think of an explanation why?
So Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, and he's fun. But in this movie, they want to be more serious. So he balances serious and fun, and tonally, it's just all over the place. So there's not a lot of small character moments. He had executive producer on this, and as he always does, he has like say in it. Just I don't think he understood what the story was supposed to be. He doesn't understand it's supposed to be a little zany. You have those. I mean, American Made has some moments that will make you cry. It's got those genuine character moments where people are going through things. I believe Tom Cruise is just going to make money on this. It doesn't feel like he's invested at all. And a lot of these characters on my list miscast. If you're not invested in the character, why are you doing it? He's just Tom Cruise laughing and look at drugs. Like that's the best I can summarize it up. It just doesn't work for me. I was excited. I wanted it to be good.
See, here's an idea that kind of popped in my head. Is it just me, or is he like too handsome and charming for a role like this?
Yes. You need an ugly person like Mel Gibson. I would have you put Donald Gleason in the lead and put him as the supporting, but they would never do that because that's just not how it is.
I don't know. There are people who like Donald Gleason.
I think he was bad in Star Wars, but he's pretty good in other things. He's really good in other things.
There were a lot of reasons he was bad in that.
He was just constantly angry.
And constipated. Well, he was.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
Fair enough. Yeah, but I don't know. He just didn't convince me that he was that character. He was Tom Cruise in an airplane, smuggling drugs
and flying the airplane himself. I know that from he did one of those autocomplete interviews, and honestly, he didn't even seem all that interested in that either, even though he was sitting right next to Doug Liman, which Doug Liman, energetic director for such a mundane story. I mean, if you want to do it as a change of pace, sure, but I mean, you made stuff like Mr. and Mrs. Smith and Edge of Tomorrow with the first Jason Bourne movie, and even The Wall, which is small scale. Even The Wall, which is small scale, but has a ton of energy to it because of how claustrophobic it is.
The Wall. I have to figure out what that one is.
That's Aaron Taylor Johnson and John Cena being hunted by a sniper in Iraq.
Oh, man, that's a great flick.
Yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
That's a great little flick. But Doug Liman does do the best Bourne movie. I think it balances the perfect amount of story, shaky cam, action, and character development. And I hate amnesia. I hate amnesia plots with a passion.
I know.
But I like the firstborn. So, yeah, I'm
more of a fan of the Paul Greengrass stuff, but I mean, Lyman did do a good job either way.
Paul Greengrass didn't. I love the first one. I think the second one is probably the best in the series, but direction-wise, I think it's the first one. Huh. What's your number? What's your number 3, Tyler?
Actually, it's my number 2.
Oh, what's your number 2? There we go. I'm coming from behind.
Okay, so for number 2, I had to pick an actor who completely bombed in a musical. And there are a few where you could go with. You could go with Clint Eastwood in Pay Your Wagon, but I haven't seen Pay Your Wagon, so I don't know. You could go with Gerard Butler in Phantom of the Opera, which...
that was a thing?
Yeah, that was a thing. Oh. In fact, I'm going to look up some of the other actors because there was a
Can I take a guess? I want to take a guess here.
Go for it.
Russell Crowe and Les Mis.
Not him either, because honestly, don't get me wrong, he was bad in it. And the fact that Adam Lambert tweeted out just how pissed off he was with the singing of Les Mis, that should really say a lot.
Adam Lambert is very talented.
I give Russell Crowe credit for at least admitting that he wasn't the right choice. And admittedly, I can't really think of that many other replacements for Russell Crowe.
Okay, here's an easy one. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, but he wasn't super famous back then, although he would love to be in Les Mis.
I just feel like he would fit right in. But anyway, who are you picking?
I went with Pierce Brosnan from Mamma Mia. Again, this is a really short choice on this list because it is so ridiculously easy to sum up. All you have to do is type in Pierce Brosnan SOS because, man, his singing is a sack of shit. I just came up with 100%. That now. Wow. I read somewhere
Ugh,
that
I
his
hate
preparation for the role, I'm not kidding, he prepared by spending 6 weeks walking up and down the coast of Greece because, yeah, that is where this movie takes place for no particular reason other than that's just where the musical took place. Singing his own karaoke and listening to it on playback. And even he'll tell you that he sounded dreadful, which really makes me wonder if he's going to get Me Too'd in a couple of years because he had to have been blackmailed to give a singing performance like this, to the point where I'm going to start listing off some reviews here of just how bad his singing is.
Excited.
NY Magazine said that Brosnan's singing was the best impression they had ever heard of a water buffalo. Some of them have compared him to a donkey braying or a wounded raccoon. I'm not sure where the wounded raccoon came into it because that would have been like incredibly high pitched. It would sound like Adam Lambert if he wasn't a good singer. That would be a wounded raccoon. Oh, here's one from Creative Loafing Charlotte. And yes, that's really the name of a newspaper. Okay. Pierce Brosnan looks physically pained, choking out the lyrics as if he's being subjected to a prostate exam just outside of the camera's eye. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It's bad. I like Mamma Mia, not for Pierce Brosnan. I think that Amanda Seyfried and Meryl Streep are really fun, and it's a guilty pleasure. And I like it for those elements, but Pierce Brosnan should not sing, ever. He should not sing.
Oh, he'll flat out tell you that. It really makes me wonder why he even came back for Here We Go Again.
They want to make a third one.
Of course they do. Like,
what
how many
songs are left?
None. There were no songs left when they did the second one. And
the only one they haven't done is When I Kissed a Teacher. That's an awkward song.
Well, here's the problem. Like you said, Meryl Streep was good in it. Have you listened to her sing The Winner Takes It All? She sounds like a fucking crow about that.
She sounds a lot better than Pierce Brosnan.
I'll take a singing water buffalo over a singing crow, okay? I'm sorry, but I can't help it. But I mean,
oh my goodness.
The nicest thing, the one redeeming thing about Pierce Brosnan and Mamma Mia is that when he's acting, he's the least awkward out of all of them because, I mean, he's James Bond. He knows how to be suave and sophisticated. Yes. And it's not like he's no stranger to comedy. I mean, he did Mrs. Doubtfire. He was great in Matador. Yeah.
He's very funny in Mrs. Doubtfire. It's great.
Here's the thing. People complained about Pierce Brosnan and Alexander Skarsgård singing in particular. Like, Skarsgård was serviceable. I mean, when he's singing Take a Chance on Me, that was probably the best he could do because, I mean, that was the best one suited for his range. Colin Firth couldn't sing worth a damn. He was so baritone when he's singing. It was just pathetic. It's just like, and you know I got so much that I want to do. When I see I can't even remember the lyrics. I don't know why. I like Take a Chance on Me.
Do it's magic.
Yes,
you know what you do? If you want to do Mamma Mia, you reboot it and you hire all unknowns. You get all unknowns. You get some really talented music director, whether it's Lin-Manuel Miranda or whoever, one of the Disney people, maybe the person who did the soundtrack for Soul, and you cast unknowns who can sing and act that you've never heard of. And you say, there's Mamma Mia music.
Here's the thing. Like, Lily James isn't a super big celebrity, which I think is what made her good as the younger Meryl Streep in the second one. And plus they had some cheap fan service, like having Cher as Meryl Streep's grandmother, even though Meryl Streep is dead, but the mom isn't.
Or cast singers like Cher who can actually sing.
Well, weirdly enough, Burlesque was her first musical movie ever. And I can't even remember her singing in that. Did she sing in that?
I think she might have been on Burlesque that remix was like of Lady Marmalade. But Lily James.
No, that's Christina.
Oh, that's Christina. Oh.
Yeah, because Christina did Burlesque, and like Christina and Stanley Tucci are the only things I remember from Burlesque. So
I think Lily James is incredibly well known. She did Mamma Mia, she did Baby Driver, she's done a bunch of stuff.
It's just that, like, I don't know that many people who remember her as Cinderella. That's like the big thing. Because, like, yeah, she was Cinderella, and she was fine.
It's my favorite of the Disney live action remakes, honestly. I think it is unique enough in its own way while still telling the same story. I think the stepmother and the sisters are perfectly cast.
What you just said about Cinderella is kind of how I feel about the Jungle Book. It was unique.
Oh, I love the Jungle Book. The remake. You talking about the live action Jungle Book?
Yeah, the Jon Favreau one.
Yeah, I love that movie. That's great. That's a great. That's
like it was intense. Yeah. Jon Favreau proves he can do suspense pretty decently.
I really like Christopher Walken as the monkey. I
liked him when he was speaking, but when he started singing, I'm just like, what is going on?
It was like speaking, singing, and Scarlett Johansson as the snake is really fun. I like that.
Wow,
it's great.
Scarlett Johansson. It's great. I don't care if it was a cameo. Scarlett Johansson was awesome as Ka.
It's my favorite Jungle Book movie. I 100% agree with you on that. I like it a lot.
There are parts of the animated cartoon that I enjoy more on an entertainment value. Like I tell people the original is still better, like on entertainment value, but the Favreau one just did something different, and it made Mowgli a fleshed out, likable character.
Bill Murray was born to play a bear. Born to play a bear.
Bill Murray was like mixed bag for me as Baloo. Like some of his jokes hit, but when they didn't, he just sounded so disinterested. Which
it's like Dan Aykroyd is the perfect Yogi Bear, and no one's going to agree with me on that. But I love his voicing of Yogi Bear. It's a great Yogi Bear.
I like Justin Timberlake as Boo Boo.
That was great. I like the Yogi Bear movie a lot. I'm that guy. I'm going to jump into my number 2 then. I don't mind remakes. I'm going to start with this. I don't mind remakes. I don't mind a remake. I think some of them can be fun. I think the Get Smart remake has some fun moments. I think there's some really great casting in that. I think that Anne Hathaway as 99 is brilliant. Brilliant casting.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Steve Carell, but I don't know who else you would have got, so I understand.
I don't know. I thought he was one of the few choices that would have made that.
You couldn't have really gotten anyone else at that point in time. There was no one else available unless you got an unknown. And I think that movie works a lot better than a lot of remakes. I think that if you're looking at even adaptions of things that there's just not a lot of great stuff out there. And there was one I was looking forward to, and I like half of this movie. I think this has half the casting is great, but there's one casting choice. So let's go back to the 80s. I love the 80s. I love A-Team, MacGyver, Knight Rider, and A-Team is one of my personal favorites. It's awesome. It's great. And when they came out with a live action movie, I thought, oh boy. And I went in with no expectations, and I came out with some good stuff. Liam Neeson as Hannibal, I think, was awesome. I love that casting choice. I think it's just great. I want to get his name right. What's his name?
Charlton Copley.
Yes, as Murdoch, nailed the role. Couldn't have asked for a better Murdoch.
One of the few times he was actually good in a movie.
Quentin Rampage Jackson, it's Mr. T. You don't have to try too hard. He did fine, but the one role
I like him as BA.
Mr. T's not an actor. He's just a cool dude.
No.
You need a cool dude, and he's cool. But the one role that just rubbed me the entire wrong way.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Bradley Cooper as Faceman did not by anywhere near means meet the show's requirements. And I did not expect it to meet the show's requirement 100%. But the character should resemble something out of the TV show that ran for 5 seasons. It should resemble that. Bradley Cooper is not handsome enough to be Faceman. In the original, it was Dirk Benedict. This man was suave, had the perfect face, the perfect blonde hair. You need a literal dumb dude who looks really nice to con women. That is literally what you need. Bradley Cooper is an intelligent, yes, attractive man, but he doesn't look like Face. He doesn't act like Face. He doesn't feel like Face. His opening scene of trying to con someone with the bullpen, and I was not sold from that moment. He just doesn't look like, if I saw him, I'd be like, no, I'm not giving you anything. He doesn't look. The whole point of Faceman is, let's take, for example, let's jump into a few episodes here. In the Children of Jamestown, he has to go con a boat motor to build a random concoction from a random family dressed as a preacher, and he's calm and collective and disappears into that character. But then in another later episode, he has to get a truck. He has to go get trucks from a company and pretend to be a businessman. But in another episode, he has to pretend to fall in love with a girl to get the ex-boyfriend's contacts so they can find the bad guys there. He has to be everything. He has to be literally the devil disappearing into different characters and roles and personas. He needs to be a Gary Oldman type, disappearing into your roles. In one, he's this crazy drug dealer. Then he's Commissioner Gordon, but then he's prisoner of Azkaban. He needs to be a chameleon. I do not buy that Bradley Cooper is a chameleon by any means. I love the other casting. The movie itself, I think, is fine. I think they did the very best they could, and I don't blame them for that. But Bradley Cooper is Bradley Cooper. He's not trying to be other characters. He's not disappearing into the role. He's not trying to be in One Day Up in the Hills. He's not trying to appeal to these hillbillies by acting like one of them. He's not trying to disappear into the role. He's trying to be a suave person, but he's not a con man. He's a pretty guy, but he couldn't con a soul. It just doesn't work. It just does not work.
I don't know if he's not handsome enough, because I mean, at that point, Bradley Cooper was kind of known as a romantic lead, especially with Silver Linings Playbook. And
I love that movie. And I liked him in the first Hangover.
He
has some really great roles and performances.
Yeah, like he obviously was cast in this role because he was the charming ladies' man at that point. I will give you that he's a little too scruffy to be like that handsome. I'll give you that one. But to the movie's credit, like they don't give him that many opportunities to really have to be a chameleon. He has to seduce. Is it Jessica Biel or Jessica Alba? Jessica Biel as like his ex that he is also hunting him down, and they have that like I love you, I hate you type of deal, especially towards the end where she slips him the paper clip to get out of the handcuffs at the very end. That part I remember, oddly enough. And I saw the 18 back when it came out in 2013. It was my parents and I think my sister was at a sleepover or whatever, so it was just the three of us, and I had never heard of the show before. I wasn't looking for anything particular, just a guilty pleasure. And that's exactly what I got. Plus, I'm sure what do you think about John Hamm in that random cameo as Lynch?
As Lynch? Oh, I like John Hamm as Lynch. I think that's great. Lynch was a character that showed up. He was in it for the first season and a half, then was replaced by a different colonel, but he was always chasing the A-team. He was this overly ambitious guy. He was very tall. And I like John Hamm in that role. It's very good. It's fun. It's not Face to me. It doesn't represent anything about the show. It's like you took Bradley Cooper and put him in instead of Face. Face should look like you want to cast the person who most looks like a Ken doll. That's what you need.
So what, like Eric Dane or something like that?
Literally anybody else. I like all the other casting, and I like most of the movie. It's just Face kills it for me because
you still have to be an army. You still have to be an army guy. I mean, Patrick Dempsey is more handsome than Bradley Cooper, but he's not military quality.
But you want that con guy from every single military movie who steals things, who could get things, who can convince people of things. That's what Face Man is.
It just sounds like a tough casting role to begin with. For me personally, anyways.
I mean, I don't know who I'd put in the role. I think I would have put Neil Patrick Harris in this role. He would have been perfect.
Again, like though military quality.
Why not? He can buff up a bit.
I don't know. I've never really seen him all that buff before.
Because Face is funny and charming, and he could literally talk you out of your life savings in an instant because of a cause or how he looks at you or the way he uses his face. Bradley Cooper's just a handsome guy with a gun.
Yeah,
I like the rest of the movie, though, except for the giant battle at the end with all the CG crates and from the boat, the shipping containers. That just does nothing for me.
I got a casting choice. What about Gerard Butler?
Yes, hell yeah, any day, man. That guy's the definition of
military quality. That would have been perfect for him.
Because Gerard Butler's movies are crap, but he's so suave and convincing at doing his role. I want to watch his movies. I want to watch London Has Fallen again with possibly the greatest line in history. What is that line?
I don't know. I don't watch
so they're all outside the building and they're trying to rescue the president before they execute him on live streaming YouTube or something. I don't know. And Gerard and all these guys are fighting. He's got a little bit of an army, and the guys are there. And they're there and they're like, there's too many of them. We can't get in. And Gerard Butler pauses, dramatically looks at the camera and says, well, they should have brought more men. It just kills everyone in his path. It's freaking sweet. What do you got at your number one then? I'm very curious to hear this. Very curious.
Boy. See, here's the thing. Like, I don't get upset when I watch this performance, but I get upset when I talk about it.
No, I'm excited. Get
And
upset.
I'm just gonna quote it because I love to quote just how fucking stupid this is. Boys, Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent. I love it. I love
Agreed.
bringing people together. How are you? Oh wow, that is a nice script you did.
Watermelon.
Not pick a fight with this guy.
100% agree.
Son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham. You're psychotic. That is a 3-syllable word for. I can't even remember the fucking quote on that one. In case you guys don't already know, it's Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I have no idea how any DC shill can defend such an awkward and out of place performance like this, because this is one of my least favorite performances of all time. I mean, as corny as Gene Hackman was in the original Christopher Reeve classic. Hold on. It's just that, like, Hackman had this charismatic way of delivering so many over the top lines in such a natural way. And the fact that he's constantly gloating to his allies and to Superman about proven facts that he is the greatest criminal mastermind of all time is definitely what makes him an intimidating presence. Plus, it's Gene Hackman. He's already physically intimidating as a wealthy businessman to begin with. And let's not forget Clancy Brown in the DC animated series, where he had like such a deeper voice with a combined high IQ and a much more articulate vocabulary than most cartoon characters, which is something you don't get very often. And plus, it's Clancy Brown. Dude has a really intimidating voice, whether he's the worst prison guard ever in Shawshank or even as Mr. Krabs, because yeah, the prison guard from Shawshank Redemption is Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. I mean, really put that into perspective.
Voice actors are very talented.
And plus, Clancy Brown's more reserved and sophisticated in his manner of speech as Lex Luthor than Gene Hackman was, because Gene Hackman was a little bit of a showboat, and that was the one flaw about his performance as Luthor. But other than that, dude was completely spot on. And yes, Jesse Eisenberg technically stands out, but that's the problem. The entire time I watched Batman v Superman in the theater, I kept thinking to myself, if this guy was the Riddler and he had been driven insane by Superman's destruction,
great Riddler.
That would have been great.
Oh man, why wasn't he the Riddler? I want that now.
Exactly. And plus, here's the thing, like, when my dad saw a commercial of Batman v Superman, he looked at me and he's just like, why is Reed in this movie? Because he seriously thought Jesse Eisenberg with that god-awful wig was Reed from Criminal Minds. And I just sat there, I'm like, oh my God. And here's the thing, Reed from Criminal Minds actually played the Riddler in Batman Assault on Arkham, and he was a really good Riddler. Hell, he could have been a good live action Riddler as opposed to Paul
no, I 100% agree. Jesse Eisenberg was over the top, ridiculous, and I don't know, like, it's just, I don't know what he was trying to do with it. It reminds me of the best Owen Wilson impression I've ever seen.
Oh, hold on. Like, there are so many comparisons that I personally made. Like, for one, what I said about Vince Vaughn stuttering in one scene more than Jeff Goldblum has, Jesse Eisenberg clears his throat in one scene more than Woody Allen has over the course of his decades-long career.
Oh.
I'm not taking that back. No, and plus it's Woody Allen. Nobody wants me to take that back. A relationship, I think, is like a shark. You know, it has to constantly move forward or it dies. And first of all, I want to say I think our relationship is a dead shark.
That's a good.
I've always wanted to do that impression. It's I never want to do it in public because I feel like it's so spot on. People will just give me crap for it. But I mean,
I think that's brilliant.
The constant twitching, the stuttering, the clearing of the throat. He's more like a mad scientist from the Adam West series as opposed to this complex villain with an identifiable motivation that Zack Snyder wanted us to feel, which the motivation doesn't even make sense because he literally gets hired to rebuild the buildings that Superman and Zod destroyed. Superman benefited you. Why do you hate him? Like, the whole coming down from the sky being a god thing is just like, oh, you don't deserve to have that much power. You created Doomsday. He's like 5 Supermans. Doug Walker flat out said it. Doomsday is like 5 Supermans with a fist for a brain. How are you jealous or envious of Superman? I mean, honestly, and like, yeah, the lack of subtlety, just like Vince Vaughn, takes any seriousness away. It makes you wonder how anyone wouldn't question him as a businessman to begin with, which is incredibly important because when Lex Luthor is out in public, he's very articulate, he's incredibly polite, and when he addresses Superman or his criminal cohorts, nothing really changes other than he chooses much more taunting and intimidating words. That really goes to show how good he is as a spinster or a media presence. This guy couldn't even convince Fox News that he's not a villain, which is really saying something. I don't know. When your opening scene as a villain is playing basketball in your private gym wearing a chimp t-shirt, and yes, shoving down a watermelon Jolly Rancher down a senator's mouth as like a really cheap PG-13 sexual harassment metaphor, I don't know how you can be proud of this.
Well, I think Promising Young Woman did it better with the cherries on the poster.
I haven't seen that poster.
It just has cherries going into someone's mouth.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Or
That
even
actually
like
does
the
sound
cover of Deep Throat with like, you know, the sexual thing about the industry. You know, like it did it better.
I don't remember the poster for Deep Throat, so I couldn't tell you.
It's someone
But,
seductively sucking on a hard candy, really close up on lips.
But seriously, I could put a montage together of every Jesse Eisenberg outburst as Lex Luthor and intersplice it with John Travolta from Face Off. It's like,
Wait,
where you been looking?
Why did John Travolta not do this? If you're going for
Good
dumb,
question. Wee! What a predicament.
You know, if you're gonna do this, there's only one choice for this whole thing. Get freaking Mark Hamill. That's all you gotta do. Mark Hamill is a man of 1,000 voices. I want that.
Or
Idris Elba, have him shave his head. He would nail that role.
I don't know. I mean, Mark Hamill live action wise can be pretty over the top. I mean, if you saw him as the trickster in The Flash.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved how corny and over the top he was. And like The Flash was a corny show, so it already fit very nicely. And plus, he actually played the trickster in his normal voice on the Justice League cartoon. And of course, he was the Joker, probably my favorite Joker out of all of them, including Heath, including
He is the greatest Joker. He just nails it. He nails it.
The voice and the laugh. Like that stupid Birds of Prey TV show on like Warner Brothers Kids or whatever. They even got him to do that voice for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Batgirl. Past tense.
He's so good at that role. Like, born to play it. I think it's
absolutely
more favorite than Luke Skywalker.
Which is why I don't know about him being Lex Luthor, although I mean I'd be up for him trying anyways.
Yeah, so that's a solid number one there. My number one is we're gonna talk Star Wars, okay? I want to talk Star Wars because I like the new trilogy at points. I think Rian Johnson did a great job with Last Jedi. It has some amazing visuals. I think The Force Awakens introduces us to one of the biggest cool rising stars that I want to follow, John Boyega. I really like him in this trilogy. We got to see Kelly Marie Tran, who's going to be in Raya and the Last Dragon, which looks really awesome. I'm excited to see that. I like her character.
I don't know why. My excitement for that's gotten like less and less over time, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's because the trailers just don't do anything for me. But
I think that I really like Kelly Marie Tran in The Last Jedi. I think she has a lot to offer. I think she's a great character. Despite how silly Canto Bite is, I think she tries to make it the best she can, and I appreciate that. I think I know where
you're going.
I love John Boyega. I think he's phenomenal because I watched him in Attack the Block and then he was in Star Wars. And I'm like, this guy's giving it his all. Even Donald Gleason as an angry general is better than the pick I have on my list. Everyone in this series, even Laura, whatever her name is from Jurassic Park, as a general, gives it more than Daisy Ridley. I don't get why Daisy Ridley is in this trilogy because she doesn't care. She's boring.
Oh, hold on a second.
I'm very serious on this pick.
I thought you were going to say Adam Driver because I've heard you say nastier things.
No, Adam Driver at least gives it 100%. Daisy Ridley. Now I will give her this. The script in every movie changed a little bit, but every character motivation she has, she doesn't give it 110%. She doesn't go for it. She doesn't embrace the ridiculousness of every Star Wars movie. She doesn't try to make the lines feel alive. A lot of the lines feel like it still could be in a script read. And I thought maybe it's just Star Wars. But no, I'm 100% convinced that Daisy Ridley is a bad actress. I love The Murder in the Orient Express by Kenneth Branagh, but Daisy Ridley is the weakest point. She's not convincing. She's just a random British person who's there. She doesn't act very well. And if you're the lead in a series, and I like that they cast unknowns, we got a whole bunch of new people that I never heard of, and I like that. I like that a lot. But she just doesn't give it 110%. She doesn't care about the role. She's there and she's like, even when she's waving around a lightsaber, she's like, do I act now? Is it okay? Is it okay?
I can't take you seriously on that.
I just don't. She doesn't do a good job. I don't understand.
I don't agree in any way, shape, or form. So,
well, that's. But
hey, again, we're allowed to disagree.
That's fine. Yeah, that's perfect. I've watched a couple of her other films. I just think she's a very dry actor, and you need a charismatic lead. Your lead in the original Star Wars was Mark Hamill as this big over the top sort of whiny character. Then you have this very strong, confident Princess Leia, and those were defining characters. You look at the prequels, as much as people don't like Hayden Christensen, he was a little bigger and over the top and this sort of in your face character. She's not in her face.
There weren't that many moments. I didn't really think there were that many moments of Hayden Christensen freaking out. Like, don't get me wrong, the moments that are there, they're iconic and memorable for all the wrong reasons. But I don't know. I kind of like the fact that Ridley is a lot more restrained. I mean, her opening sequence describes her home, her career, her life without any dialogue whatsoever. And that was like one of the key things about The Force Awakens and even parts of The Last Jedi. She's really good, in my opinion. She has that Hayden Christensen quality. When she's not speaking, she's expressing every emotion necessary with the character as well as possibly can, especially with Last Jedi when she's staring at like her multiple reflections and it has that David Lynch type of vibe. That was a really good
I will
scene.
give her credit. She does have a few scenes, but they are few and far between for me, because when I watched the first one, I'm like, oh, they do the character establishment. That's okay. And I like BB-8 and I like Unkar Plot, played by Simon Pegg. And I think that's really cool. But just, she's not like John Boyega's face when he sees the Millennium Falcon is like, oh my goodness, this is everything. And she's like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but so does she. So does she.
She has like into it as she should be more excited.
She has that nerd out moment when she finds out it's Han Solo and Chewie. And when Han
dies in The Force Awakens,
and she even gets more excited when she gets to like co-pilot alongside Han when they're in the light speed, and she just yanks out. She's just like, "Oh my god, I did this!" Or
I feel like with 3 or 4 more takes and a better director, this works. But I just don't think this works. I think her level of energy is not up to a lead. I think she's a great supporting character. I would rather see Kelly Marie Tran be Rey and have her be the other character that's supporting. I just think there's more personality there. I don't know if Daisy Ridley has a personality. It just doesn't show for me. And the one moment that clenched it for me, I thought maybe I'm wrong, is in The Last Jedi. No, not The Last Jedi, the last one, Rise of Skywalker. I liked Rise of Skywalker enough. It had some silly moments with the clones, but there was some good. I like when all the ships show up and you see that. I like the lightsaber fights. I like to see what they're doing with it. I think raiding on a Star Destroyer is pretty cool. But the moment when she's fighting Kylo Ren and Kylo Ren's like trying to fight everything and she's doing this and they're after the cube, I don't feel like she's in that scene. I just don't feel like she's connected or in that scene. Like they should have done another 5 takes and they should have said, no, you need to be more excited. You need to have more energy. This is a dramatic moment. Really?
Was she not? She was excited. She was into it. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. It just doesn't click for me, you know? That's why I didn't like the new trilogy as much, because
she had that entire sequence where she sees like her reflection turning evil, and she is as pissed, scared shitless as you could possibly get.
Can we get Evil Ray instead of normal Ray? Evil Ray's more entertaining and has more personality.
No, I'm glad they didn't go Evil Ray. That would have been fucking stupid.
I just don't think Daisy Ridley was right for this role.
I've seen her do other stuff. Like she did a Studio Ghibli dub that I went to see at the Princess only yesterday. And like, don't get me wrong.
I remember playing that.
there were parts where her American accent were a little iffy, but for the most part, I thought she was fine in all seriousness. And plus, there are some Disney dubs that just do not hold up in the slightest, like Castle in the Sky with like 30-year-old James Vanderbeek as I don't even know how old that kid was supposed to be, because in the Japanese dub, he's like a 13-year-old kid with a high pitch. And like it, even though it was loud and screechy, it made a hell of a lot more sense.
To me,
So I don't know. Like
I
I
wanted
like
to
her,
connect with the main character. I wanted to connect with the main character, and I connected more with John Boyega and all the other side characters than I did the main character. Like,
See,
and
here's
I
the
don't
thing, like,
mind a mind character sometimes, because Harry Potter is not a very interesting character, but he grows and he gives it his all. But everyone around him is fascinating. Snape, McGonagall, Luna, everyone, even their Bellatrix Lestrange or Lucius Malfoy, or even Dobby. But I just didn't feel any of that going into this. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's the direction, but maybe J.J. Abrams just fucking sucks at directing movies.
I like his direction. Here's the thing, like the problems I always had with Ray came down from the writing. Whenever Daisy Ridley was over the top or under the top, I didn't really blame her for it, because the script and the character decisions that she makes were just ridiculous. And I just sat there, I'm like, it's a George Lucas thing. None of you actors could really save this. So for me, I do feel it is a lot of the writing. I never bought into the Mary Sue complaints people have with Force Awakens. It's just like, do you not remember all these mistakes that she made in Force Awakens? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, I'm not faulting her for the movies. I think my favorite female lead in Star Wars for the new ones is Felicity Jones from Rogue One. As much as I don't like that movie, and we've discussed this in depth, I think she has more personality. She has more of an on-screen presence than Rey ever did.
I found her considerably more bland than Daisy Ridley, because there were so many scenes where she was supposed to be like a little more loud and upfront. And again, like Doug Walker and Stuckman covered this in their video. It's just like, the acting wasn't bad in Rogue One, but it never like goes full out because they're afraid of being over the top, even though those are the right moments. I found Felicity Jones and Diego Luna incredibly dry and not very interesting leads. And I find it weird to hear this coming from you, because you hate
the most part. See, this is what I like about Rogue One. Forrest Whitaker is freaking weird. I have no clue what he's doing. He's just in a house being.
Yeah.
But I think Felicity Jones was a good choice for a lead in this. I think she does carry what is left of the film. I'm not a big fan of the CG, but I like Felicity Jones in this, and I liked her in On the Basis of Sex. I think she's got a very charming personality, and she's got that star power. And I think Daisy really just doesn't have as much of it as other actresses. And we agree to disagree, and that's okay, because we don't always have to have the same number one. But that's just
I'm not even allowed to say my favorite Star Wars female lead, because she's not fucking in it anymore.
What do you mean?
Because Gina Carano at least brought something new to Star Wars.
She was great. She was phenomenal.
I mean, seriously, how many women in Star Wars were like her?
No,
really,
it was fantastic. I think,
like, God forbid I say that, because allegedly, if I'm defending her, I'm allegedly a fucking conservative, which I'm not.
Politics suck. We like your performance. What's wrong with that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. There were moments where she was really flat too, but again, it was the writing. There were so many one-liners and cheesy, like, son of a Star Wars creature or whatever. And I'm just like, really, Favreau? Really?
Yeah, I like The Mandalorian. I did. I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second.
No. I like it too. And season 2 did a lot more for me because they got to expand upon certain stuff. And yeah, it was fan servicey, and Luke Skywalker looks more like Eric Foreman than he does Mark Hamill, which I'm not. Hey, I got to put up a GIF of there's that whole that 70s show Star Wars episode where where Foreman's dressed like Luke, and it's just like, are you even listening to me? What? Yeah, I'm listening. You were saying, may the Force be with me? No, I did not. Jedi Knight. Jedi dumbass.
No, I just think with the new trilogy, there's a lot of things they could have done differently. And I think going forward, they're going to take their time and make sure the movies are done right. But I think that's one of the ones I would change. One, I would have one director write and direct all 3 movies for continuity. I just give it to Rian Johnson and let do whatever he wants, because I trust.
Or at least have the same writer. Yes. I mean, same directors gives it a different visual style, kind of like the Mission Impossible series. But
Christopher McQuarrie is the Mission Impossible series. He is the Mission Impossible series.
Well, he is now. I mean, we had De
love it.
Palma, we had Wu, we had Abrams. Abrams did a really good job with Mission Impossible 3. I like that one. And Brad
I
Bird
did
with
like
the fourth
Philip
one.
Seymour Hoffman's casting as the villain. You wouldn't see that coming. He did a phenomenal job, and just his level of subtlety and his level of like, I'm evil, but you know, like I'm a little clueless, is perfection. Especially in the scene where he pulls off and they kill like the fake wife at the end. His acting chops are so incredible in that scene.
Hell, if he was still alive, shave his head and make him Lex Luthor.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, but
oh, God.
I mean, there's a lot of things I would fix with the trilogy, and I take it for what it is, and I will watch it again. But I like John Boyega in this trilogy. I like Kelly Marie Tran. I like a lot of the settings. I think just a consistent through line and a more charismatic lead would. Also, there's one moment I want Leia to hug Chewie when Han dies. So because just do it. It don't make no sense.
Why was Chewie even in this trilogy?
Like, if you're not gonna hug Chewie, like, did you have an awkward past relationship or something? Did you date Chewie for a while and that's why you haven't seen Han? Like, is that why you're not hugging him? I don't know. Figure it out. It's just very.
Oh yeah, and by the way, Lupita Nyong'o was in the movie. Just wanted to remind you.
Did she play Maz Kanata?
Yeah.
Because Maz Kanata was pretty cool. I like that setting. I would keep
in the
Maz Kanata's
cantina.
She was. I think that'd be a great setting to have in any of the movies. I think that's an interesting character enough. And I like the flashbacks that she has to the other parts of that. And we get even in Rise of Skywalker, I like all the voices, the little bit of fan service where all the voices of Qui-Gon and Anakin are speaking. I think that's a pretty cool moment.
And Freddie, they even got Freddie Prinze from like.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. There's a lot of things I like. This is just not one of those things, and that's the way it is.
I get it.
I have watched The Last Jedi probably about 20 times. I really like that movie. I think there's a lot of things I would fix, but for me, that is the best Star Wars movie to date.
Her and Luke was probably the thing I take away the most about.
And Puppet Yoda's back? Like, that's dope.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I like Rian Johnson's directing. I like Fruitville Station. I like what he's doing with Creed.
That's Ryan Coogler.
Oh, Ryan Coogler. Sorry. I'm getting my bearings mixed up.
That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah. Agree to disagree on some of those things. But yeah, like the original trilogy, there was a lot they should have done differently.
Oh, it's Knives Out that I liked by him. Knives Out and Looper. Those, I love Looper. Freaking love Looper.
Brick's pretty decent. And Brick is pretty decent too.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Brick in a long time. When I was at the MCC, I used to borrow DVDs, so I borrowed Brick on DVD when it came in. I'm like, what's this? I'm like, oh, it's okay. But man, Looper for me was like, this is cool. Sci-fi can still be awesome. But man, I wish Rian Johnson just had control of that whole trilogy. I know he says this whole trilogy is still coming, but just give that man this unique voice on Star Wars. He's going to give us random creatures in a random universe with characters we don't know and tell this unique story set far away from the Skywalkers. And it's going to be phenomenal. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be unique. It's going to be original. He'll do practical effects and it'll be really cool because his shooting style with, I don't know what the planet with the red sand is, with the salt, that was so cool. And everything he did. Yeah. Every shot he did was artistic and unique. And he was just so interesting in that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's Rey's most interesting movie because she had more to do. So
there was that.
Yeah, I just love The Last Jedi. It's the one. I don't know if you're. I'm investing in 4K, and there's a couple 4Ks I'm really, really after.
I haven't gotten into the 4K craze.
I want to pick up the Harry Potters, but then the one I do want to pick up is Star Wars in 4K, The Last Jedi. That's one I will watch in 4K, and I think the visuals just owe it to itself to be in the highest quality possible. I only have 2 4Ks right now, The Mummy and A Bug's Life, but they get expensive. I really like A Bug's Life. I know people don't, but whatever.
People don't?
No, I've met a lot of people who are like, I don't like that movie. I'm like, why? It's fun. It was my childhood. There's hoppers. There's ants. I love the bugs.
It's the Pixar version of Seven Samurai.
Or ants.
Fuck ants.
Oh, ants is weird. I can't do it. It's like Small Soldiers. No.
True.
Yeah, but anyway, that brings us to the end of the show. Yeah,
Yeah.
one I want to throw out there now that I'm thinking of. I thought Jurassic World wasn't bad. I don't know what you thought on it. The first one.
I've never seen any of the Jurassic Worlds just because Jurassic Park's never been my thing.
But what's her name? Jessica Chastain is not very good in it. I think Chris Pratt.
That's Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. Sorry, Bryce Dallas Howard's just not very charismatic, and her episodes of The Mandalorian are poorly directed. She has a long way to go.
I don't know. I don't mind her.
She's doing filler episodes, as they call in anime.
Oh, whatever.
I don't know. Just didn't really running in heels from a T-Rex. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Anyway, Tyler, what are we checking out on your channel? What do you got coming up?
Well, I've got nothing coming up right at the moment just because, when you spend 3 or 4 days picking through DuckTales episodes to match your narration and hoping in the slightest that you don't get blocked by people who have never seen your fucking video and don't know that it's fair use. I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
Who's
I use clips from
you?
Some bullshit company called Disney Enterprises Inc., which is just a company that exists to block and copyright people. And I know this because all of the comments on their channel are just like, hey, what the fuck did I do to you?
Well, anyway, if you guys have not seen Tyler's DuckTales video, it is phenomenal. I had a glass of wine and watched it the other night, and I was like, man, I got to make some more documentary style things. I went to school for documentary. I've never done that. I'm very impressed at your skills. It's fantastically put together. So definitely check that out. Whether you watch the OG or the new one. So
one of these days we got to work on one of them because I'm starting to write notes about how the best animated feature award for the Oscars is easily the biggest popularity choice
100%.
for a variety of reasons.
Are you Pixar? Great, you won.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think that Kubo should have won. And I do think that this year Wolfwalkers, because it's the most unique, visually interesting, Oscar-worthy film, should win. But will it? No, it'll be Soul.
I thought you liked Soul more than Wolfwalkers.
I did, but I don't think it should win an Oscar. I liked Rambo First Blood or Rambo Last Blood. I don't think it should win an Oscar. I liked it more than most of the movies, but it's just a fun movie, Soul is fun. Rambo is fun. A lot of these. Black Panther was fun. Did it deserve to win an Oscar? No. Sure, you give it a nomination and you go for it, right? They're fun movies, and there's nothing wrong with a fun movie, but an Oscar movie needs to really make you feel. And sure, I felt in Soul, but Wolfwalkers is a very unique experience that I've never felt before in an animated movies. And I've seen Song of the Sea. Just the way they compose the animation was almost like a new form of art, and it was just beautiful.
Why? Okay, Song of the Sea did get nominated. Yeah. And here's the interesting thing. I haven't seen any of the other Cartoon Saloon movies yet, but I really need to.
They're all very different styles in their own right. They all are similar, but different. Just the way it looks and the way it is. It's a presence. It's a character. It's just, I think it deserves the Oscar because it's so creative and new and fresh. And we're all about new ideas. So why not this?
Because best animated feature always goes to something that kids and adults can watch. And don't get me wrong, I like animated movies when kids and adults can watch it and enjoy it. But they're not all CGI.
Yeah, no. But I mean, for example, hand-drawn animation. Fantasia is a whole bunch of art styles, a whole bunch of unique ideas. And I believe it won. Did it win?
No, that was like back in 1940 when that wasn't really an option. And
but like that movie is beautiful and unique, and you can watch that with your family. It's got everything, and I feel like that's what Wolfwalkers has to offer. It offers something new to animation, and that should be honored.
And it's also considerably more mature than some of the other options on the list. I mean, nobody was gonna pick Over the Moon over Wolfwalkers unless
the Croods A New Age wins.
It's not nominated.
Oh, good.
No, they picked Shaun the Sheep movie too, because Shaun the Sheep movies get pretty lucky with the Academy.
Yeah, I don't know. They at least that's a little unique choice because that's Wallace and Gromit style animation. That's something
with no dialogue. Which I mean, really,
Shaun the Sheep is interesting. The Pirates, the band of Misfits, is interesting for what it is. It's a little mess story wise, but it is interesting.
True. Yeah, and like I'm gonna cover a little bit of stop motion because people tend to remember the stop motion movies more than the 2D hand-drawn ones because Gee, I wonder why stop motion movies from America and the UK get more recognized than stuff from Ireland, China, Japan. Gee, I wonder what the coincidence behind that is.
Well, regardless, that's the end of our show. Check out Tyler's channel, his DuckTales video, and all his review. His review of Minari is also out, which is nominated for an Oscar. Since we're talking about Oscars, thank goodness The Devil All the Time didn't get anything. Check out Tyler's channel, 2S for fucking fantastic. We'll see you next time on the Tyler and Josh Show. Tyler, say something awesome.
Jesse Eisenberg sucks as Lex Luthor. Fuck the DCEU and fuck the Snyder Cut.